What's up, YouTube? Jeff, your Style O.G. And on today's video, I'm going to share with you the 11 things I believe you should look for in a woman. If you're new to the channel, we release a new video every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, discussing various men's lifestyle topics such as style, grooming, and dating. I invite you to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and join us. And to my returning friends like Gazelle Edwards, salute. Now, the qualities we talk about in today's video are gonna be the ones you look for in a relationship when you're thinking about getting serious, when you're looking for a long-term, meaningful relationship. The qualities you look for in a more casual situation or even a hookup are probably gonna be different. That's another video for another time. On today's video, I'm gonna share with you 11 things I believe you should look for in a woman when you're looking for a potential mate. So without any further delay, let's just hop right into it. First up on a list of 11 things I believe you should look for in a woman, you want a woman who seeks and brings peace to your life. Now, as men out in the world, we deal with a lot of competition, a lot of stress, a lot of tension. You want a woman who relieves your stress and tension, not adds to it. You're gonna run up against a lot of competition and conflict. Your relationship shouldn't be a source of either one of those things. So when you're getting to know a woman, pay attention. Is she always in arguments? Is she always involved in drama? Whether it's with you, friends, family, or co-workers. This is very key to pay attention to. But keep in mind, women tend to be a little more emotional. They may be involved in a little bit more conflict than you, but it shouldn't be to an extreme. When you're in a long-term relationship, it should be a situation where you're allowed to exhale, let things out. You want to have a woman who seeks and brings peace to your life. Next up on the list is another very important characteristic a potential mate should have. You want a woman who is supportive. Now, if you're a man who is on his purpose, as I believe you should be, you want a woman who will support and encourage your dreams and aspirations. When you're on your path and you have a supportive mate, this will make you feel empowered and can help propel you along your path. But you want her to be supportive, not just in your dreams and your aspirations, but to also support you when you fail. You want her to support you through the good and the bad, those obstacles that are inevitably gonna come in your life. You want to have the ability to mess up. A man on his purpose is gonna fail many times. You want a woman who's gonna support you along the way. A supportive woman can be your soundboard, and she can give you a different perspective when you need one. Next up on the list is a characteristic that might be the most important. You wanna have a woman who has similar values, because your values are the foundation upon which you build your life. When you and your woman have similar values, you both can be pointing in the same direction. Hear me clearly, being with someone with different values is a high-speed path to conflict. Here's the thing, you're gonna have disagreements, you're gonna have conflict, but if you both have similar values, you have a foundation to solve these conflicts. You guys aren't always gonna agree, nor should you. But if you have that basic foundation, it's easy to navigate those bumps and bruises. It makes it very difficult to be in a long-term relationship with someone with different religious, political, or financial views. Not saying that it can't work, but it makes it very difficult. In the beginning, try to make sure you and a potential mate have similar values. Next up is a characteristic I'm gonna let you know is a deal breaker for me. I can let a few things slide, but one thing I can't let slide, you wanna have a woman who respects you. A man who feels disrespected is never gonna be happy in a relationship. Pay attention to how she talks to you, how she behaves towards you. Is she always contradicting you? Is she always criticizing you? Does she not value your opinion? Is she constantly interrupting you? Does she listen to understand, or does she listen to reply? These are characteristics you're probably not gonna be able to deal with in the long term. Some things you can let go, but I highly recommend you only get with a woman who respects you and demonstrates that respect. Next up is a characteristic that many men seek and long for in a woman, but might not always express it. So I'm gonna express it right now. Men look for and want in a woman, and I believe they should, a woman who's affectionate. So yes, you do want a woman who smiles at you, who kisses you, who hugs you, who compliments you. These types of actions help us form a more stronger emotional bond. A lot of men perceive nurturing as our love language. We like to be taken care of, whether we like to admit it or not. In general, men crave from their woman displays of affection, up to and including, especially, physical affection. I'll say it again, affection is often how men experience love. So don't deny yourself of it. If you're looking for a long-term relationship, make sure you're dealing with a woman who's affectionate. Next up is a trait I suggest you look for if you're not especially good at guessing games. You should look for a woman who communicates and expresses her needs and wants pretty clearly. Here's a little known secret about us guys. We're not that great at mind reading, especially reading a woman's mind. We are much better at receiving and interpreting direct messages. When a woman can communicate her needs and wants clearly to you, it cuts down on the confusion. And when a woman is able to clearly communicate her needs and wants to you, it allows you to much better provide those needs and wants. The thing about us men, if you give us clear instructions, most of the time we can get the job done. Now, it's not always going to be easy to communicate your wants and needs, whether you're a man or a woman. But if a woman does a good job of communicating these things to you, you're much more likely to have a successful relationship. Next up on a list of the characteristics I believe you should look for in a woman, you want a woman who's independent. Now hold on, I didn't say you want a woman who's strong, independent, and I don't need no man. That's not what I'm talking about. You want a woman who has a life of her own. You don't want someone who's clingy. A clingy woman is emotionally draining. Yes, as you develop a long-term relationship, you want to be a priority in your woman's life. Just not the only priority. You want her to have her own interests, her own friends, things she likes to do on her own. You're gonna need your alone time, you're hanging out with the boys time. You have to have as much time as possible to be on your purpose. If you guys are always around each other, that can't happen. And on top of that, the cliche that goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder, I truly believe that. You need to have time to miss each other. You want to have a woman who has a life of her own. Now, next up is another characteristic that I believe is hugely important to look for in a potential mate. You want a woman who's appreciative. Now, everybody, including men, wants to feel appreciated. And if you're a man who's on his purpose, who's a provider and protector, you want to have appreciation for the things you bring to her life. And it doesn't always need to be this huge over-the-top appreciation. Just a thank you every now and then. Just some acknowledgement of the things that you do. Nobody wants to feel like they're being taken for granted. As men, we like to feel needed, but we don't want to feel used. We want to be useful. Feeling useful makes you feel energized, it makes you feel motivated. But it's hard to keep that motivation up if the woman isn't appreciative. Next up on the list is another characteristic that happens to be one of my deal breakers. You want a woman who is accepting. In a relationship, you have to have the ability to be you and be accepted for who you are. You want a woman who wants you, not wants to change you into someone else. However, when you do get with a potential serious partner, she should motivate you to be the best version of yourself. That's the thing, the best version of you, not a different you. Before you meet a woman, you should already be on your path, seeking your purpose. You don't need someone derailing it by trying to get you to be somebody else. But as you go along in a relationship, more than likely the right woman will motivate you, help you evolve, get better. But the core of who you are shouldn't change for anyone. That includes a woman. Now, next up is an important quality that sometimes might get overlooked. But trust me, it's something you want in a potential mate. You want a woman who's friendly and sociable. The reason why this is important, you want a woman who brings positive energy to people in any room she's in. The thing about a lot of guys, and that includes myself, we can be a little quiet, a little stoic. Sometimes a woman, the right woman, can be a social lubricant. A friendly and sociable woman is just much more fun to be around. You're more likely to enjoy her company. Pay attention. When she enters the room, does she bring a positive energy? Do people react to her in a positive way? She doesn't necessarily need to be the life of a party, but she needs to bring positive energy and smiles wherever she goes. Please don't overlook the great quality of a woman being friendly and sociable. Now, we've talked about a lot of great characteristics throughout today's video, but the one I'm leaving for last is just as important. Yes, a woman should have most of these characteristics we've talked about, but you also need to be attracted to her. All these other great qualities, sure, they're great. But if you don't like what you look at when you wake up in the morning, you're not gonna be happy. Let's face it, as men, we tend to be visual creatures. Yes, you do want and should desire a beautiful woman. Now, I'm not saying you need to look for supermodels. You need to find a woman that's physically attractive to you, whatever your taste is. What might be attractive to me might be different to you, and that's okay. But it's important as men that you're attracted to the woman you think you're gonna be in a long-term relationship with. All the other stuff is important and of value, but you also have to like the way the woman looks. Now, of course, it's highly unlikely that any woman is gonna have all 11 of the characteristics we talked about on today's video. You shouldn't be searching for perfection. You aren't perfect, nor is any woman. But I do believe if the woman you're interested in or looking for checks out most of the things on this list, you're more likely to have a successful long-term relationship. Now, as always, I'd love to have your input. Let me know in the comments section, what are some characteristics you suggest the men look for in a woman?